Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-journeying back in time to witness one of history's most debated and tragic events, the destruction of the Great Library of Alexandria. For centuries, this legendary institution was the intellectual heart of the ancient world, a beacon of knowledge that drew the greatest minds from across civilizations. But what really happened to it? Did one catastrophic fire really wipe out the accumulated wisdom of generations, as the popular story goes? Well, the truth is a lot more complicated, and frankly, a lot more interesting. The popular image is powerful, isn't it? Julius Caesar, in 48 BC, accidentally setting fire to the library during his civil war in Alexandria. We can almost see the flames licking at countless scrolls, a dramatic, single act of destruction. This story, popularized by writers like Plutarch, has been repeated for centuries. It's a compelling narrative. One man, one battle, one terrible accident, and the world's greatest repository of knowledge gone forever. But here's the thing. Most modern historians think this version of events is, at best, a simplification, and at worst, a complete myth. Let's dig into what the contemporary sources actually say. Caesar himself, in his own accounts of the Civil War, mentions setting fire to ships in the harbor. The fire did spread to the docks and some nearby storehouses. It's possible, even likely, that some scrolls stored in those warehouses were destroyed. But there's no mention from Caesar, or other writers of his time, of the Great Library itself burning down. The main library building wasn't even located right at the harbor. So, while some books were likely lost, the idea of a total, apocalyptic inferno just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. The library survived. In fact, scholars continued to work and study in Alexandria for centuries after Caesar. The geographer Strabo, writing decades later, described visiting the Museum, the research institution attached to the library, as if it were still a fully functioning center of learning. The library was still there, still a hub of intellectual activity. So, if Caesar didn't destroy it, who did? This is where the story shifts from a single event to a long, slow decline. The fall of the Library of Alexandria wasn't a single act. It was a death by 1,000 cuts, spread out over hundreds of years. One of the biggest blows came not from foreign invaders, but from internal strife. In the 3rd century AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian, while crushing a rebellion in Alexandria, destroyed the Bruchian Quarter, the part of the city where the main library was located. This was a devastating military action. Historical accounts suggest this event caused immense destruction, and it says very likely that the Great Library suffered catastrophic damage, or was even completely destroyed during this conflict. This was nearly 300 years after Caesar, and it's a far more plausible candidate for a major destructive event. But even that wasn't the final chapter. There was a daughter library at a temple called the Serapeum, which held a significant collection of scrolls itself. This institution continued to thrive, but the world was changing. In 391 AD, with the rise of Christianity, the Roman Emperor Theodosius issued a decree to close all pagan temples. Urged on by the Patriarch Theophilus of Alexandria, a Christian mob marched on the Serapeum. They didn't just close it. They sacked it and obliterated it. While there's debate about how many scrolls were still there at the time, the symbolic message was clear. The old world of pagan knowledge was being actively dismantled. So, what does this all mean? The story of the Library of Alexandria isn't about one single fire. It's a story about budget cuts, when later rulers stopped funding the institution. It's about civil wars and urban conflict tearing the city apart. It's about a shift in intellectual culture, where the preservation and copying of old pagan texts became less of a priority. And finally, it's about religious intolerance leading to active destruction. The knowledge wasn't lost in a single night of flames. It slowly faded away, was neglected, was dispersed, and was purposefully destroyed over generations. The tragedy isn't just about lost scrolls of Greek poetry or philosophy. Imagine the lost scientific treatises, the forgotten histories of ancient peoples, the astronomical charts, the medical texts. The loss is immeasurable, a vast hole in our understanding of the ancient world. The fall of the library is a cautionary tale for any age. It reminds us that knowledge is fragile, that institutions require constant support, and that societal shifts can be just as destructive as any fire. It wasn't one villain, but a long, slow process of neglect and conflict that extinguished this brilliant light. What do you think is the most important lesson from the library's decline? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, be sure to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.